It was a period of 8 or so days between when they think Gareth Williams died and when they were able to carry out one of 3 post-mortems that were eventually carried out on his body. So his body was in a very bad state. That makes it, according to what they said in court this afternoon, very, very difficult to establish a firm cause of death. But it was their view that although his cause of death was unascertained, it was their view that it was almost certainly unnatural and that it was either poisoning or asphyxiation as a result of too much carbon dioxide. But further than that, they said it really was an incredibly difficult call to make. They were asked various times about whether they believed Gareth Williams was alive or dead at the point at which he was either placed or got into that bag, and it was their view that he was almost certainly alive, simply because to place a dead body into that bag would be incredibly difficult. If the body had only recently died, if the person only recently died, then the body would be extremely floppy, to use their phrase, and therefore it would be very difficult to place it in that position in the bag. And don't forget, it was very neatly placed, or if he got in there himself, he put himself in there very neatly in a fetal position. And if, of course, the body had been dead, he'd been dead for some time and then placed in the bag, rigor mortis would have set in. So either way, it is their view that it was almost certainly alive at the point at which he was placed or got into the bag. But of course, the key to it all is, why was he in that bag? How was the bag able to be locked from the outside? They were asked also about whether there were any signs of a struggle on his body, because the assumption has been within this court, and the coroner has been saying it herself, that perhaps if he had been alive when he was put in that bag, he would at some point struggle, and there might be marks on his fingertips that they might have been able to get any detail from, or perhaps there'll be marks on the bag as well. There were no such marks either on his fingertips or on the bag, but the pathologist explained that when somebody dies through having too much carbon dioxide in their body, often the period of time at which they're aware of what is going on is so small that they wouldn't think about managing to struggle. So that might explain why there were no signs of a struggle. But, you know, throughout this inquest, more and more questions have been thrown up than answers. It is very, very difficult. Of course, the police investigation has come to nothing so far. We heard today from 3 pathologists who carried out 3 separate post-mortem examinations on Gareth Williams' body. They explained that their post-mortems were really very difficult because of the state of his body. 10 days passed between when they think he died and when they got access to his body to be able to carry out their post-mortems, and so it really was very difficult. But Benjamin Swift, one of the pathologists, did say that he thought that although the cause of death was unascertained, as he put it, he thought that poisoning or asphyxiation, such as suffocation, were probably rather than possibly to blame. And the others seem to agree with his view, their belief that it was either poisoning or asphyxiation. They thought perhaps that there was too much carbon dioxide in his body. That suggested perhaps that he had died of asphyxiation, but they really couldn't come to any firm conclusions. A couple of other interesting things came out as well from the pathologist. Richard Shepherd was another of the 3. He was talking in detail about whether he thought Gareth Williams was alive or dead when his body was placed in that bag. He said that he thought, quote, it more likely that Mr. Williams was alive when he entered the bag than was dead. Now, the reason he came to that conclusion is he said that naturally he has to work with dead bodies on a regular basis, and he said it would be incredibly difficult for someone to put Gareth Williams' body inside that bag and position it in such a neat way. The police investigators say it was positioned very neatly. Now, to use his phrase, he said the body would be too floppy to be able to put it in the bag so neatly. If, however, the body had been dead for some time and then placed in the bag, rigor mortis would have set in. So it was his view that Gareth Williams was alive when he got inside that bag. Of course, that throws up another question. Why did he get inside the bag? Was anyone else present in the flat? The police simply don't know. The coroner must come to her conclusions by Wednesday.